In this video, you are going to learn how to use the filter function from the dplyr package. Unlike the select function, which is used to choose specific variables or columns, the filter function is used to choose rows based on certain criteria, meaning that this function evaluates one or more logical statements within it, and all the rows that match those conditions are kept, and all the other rows are discarded. To understand how this function works, let's take a look at this simple animation. We begin with a dataset with 3 columns and 3 rows. Say we're only interested in keeping the row that contains the value A2 in the call A column. To do this, we simply type filter, and within the parentheses we enter call A equal A2. We see that the other 2 rows are discarded in this process. This is an example of the filter function being applied to categorical data. We can also apply filter to numeric data. Again, with the same toy dataset, say that we're only interested in keeping rows that have a value greater than 2 for the variable called C. To do this, all we have to do is run this code seen above the animation. Let's now apply this function to our data to understand why we might want to use it. So, filtering can be performed on categorical data. Take this example. Let's say we just want to focus on information about the country Spain. We begin with our data frame, happy, and then we apply the filter function to it. Within the filter function's body, we see the simple logical statement. This statement asks the question, which elements of this variable are equal to this string here? All rows for which this statement is true are kept, and all other rows are discarded. Note that we use 2 equal to signs to ask the question if 2 things are equal. And when we run this code, we see that there's just 1 row in our output. And that's because there is only 1 row that matches this condition. Note that filter has no effect on the number of variables. The filter function can also be applied to numeric data. For example, if you wanted to just look at countries that have a higher than average happiness score, so a ladder score more than 5, you could run this code. We take our data frame, and then we pipe it into the filter function, where we then evaluate if the variable we enter is greater than this particular number. All the rows for which this is true are kept, and the remaining are discarded. We can see that all of these values are greater than our specified threshold, and only 3 of the 5 initial countries are retained in this new dataset. We don't have to restrict ourselves to filtering on one condition at a time. To filter on multiple conditions, you can simply write a sequence of filter commands. Let's say we wanted to choose countries that are happier than average and are below a certain GDP threshold, say 10. We can use the filter function twice, as seen here, and we see the output of our code below. Only 1 country in our mini dataset meets these 2 criteria. Alternatively, instead of typing out multiple filter commands, you could just put all the conditions in 1 filter command, like this. In this case, the 2 filter conditions are placed within 1 filter function, separated by a comma. And we can see that the output is the same as before. So there you go. You now know how to use the filter function from the dplyr package.